Alright, real quick, I'm going to go through the first part of the session for making bucktails and showing everybody. The simple fact is this is just a regular banana head jig mold that I got. And you look, the hook sizes are listed in here. It actually tells you what kind of hook you need to use for the jig mold. But to be able to pour good jigs, what you want to do is take and come over here, like I'm going to be pouring a 2 ounce and I'm going to be pouring a 1 ounce. You want to pour a couple, and this jig mold is just set it up here, pour it in, let it dry. Once it dries, you'll drop it right back in, and just be careful with not getting any lead on you. You want to do this in an open area so that you can sit here, and more or less all I'm doing is heating up the jig mold. By heating the jig mold up, you're going to allow this mold to accept this lead a lot faster and a lot smoother. And the easiest thing to watch is that you can see the lead when it starts to form and starts to make an actual jig mold, and you can look and see where the actual jig head is going to be at. With these, they're fairly simple. I can pour up to 4 jigs at a time with this mold if I want to. I'm going to only be pouring 2 jig heads at a time, mainly because I'm going to be just doing the 1 ounce and the 2 ounce bucktails. This is more or less just the first part of the segment that I started, just showing how to make bucktails, how to make jigs. When you look, I got the hooks right here. This is a 7/0 hook. The 7/0 hook goes down here for the 2 ounce bucktail. With this, it takes a little getting used to, because with the 7/0 hook, you have an awful big hook, and you have to do more or less just one at a time. It's as simple as you just got to line it up. Once you line it up, it's setting in the actual mold. Then you just come right back over here. On this mold, the way that I do it is I'll actually open it up wide open until it gets full, and then drop it. You'll see it puddle on the top of the mold. Let it sit there for just a few seconds, and it's done. Once it gets done, we'll pop it out, lay it right here on the actual counter, grab another hook, and keep right on getting it. The thing that's neat about this mold is that if I wanted to, I could pour the 1 ounce and the 2 ounce at the same time. But by just doing the 2 ounce, it's a lot simpler and a lot easier. I can sit here and I can watch it when it gets up there and it puddles, and it actually, you will see it form up. It's pretty much done. Once it gets done, you just reach over there and pop it right back out. The one thing that you'll notice on these is that when it comes out, it's got the head on top of it. I'll show you real quick what we have to do with that once we get them out. Here, once again, is it just sitting right here, and you open it up, let it puddle up. Once it puddles up, you'll see it form in, and it's done. Once it gets done, what we come back, and what I like to do is I'll come over here, take a pair of dikes. You want to come in right at the edge of that, cut it off, and you'll have a little bit of a knot sitting up there on the top, but that's alright. Come right here, cut it right back off. Come right here, you can cut this one off. And just drop the excess lead right back in there into the actual into the pot right here. I usually trim up around the bottom down there. Usually this is not really that hot when it comes out. I mean, after it sets up for a little bit, you try not to touch the lead. I mean, I can touch on it a little bit, and it's not that big of an issue. What I can tell everybody is that if you take and get over there and you look, and I'll show you this bucktail right here. You see how it's not forming up completely right in there. There's really not a whole lot that you're going to be able to do with that. That is where this bucktail is just so large and so big, and the mold is so huge. The only thing that you will end up having is this little knot here. Ow, and that is hot. But the thing about it is that what you can do is take a file or take a piece of sandpaper and sand it down. That's the simplest thing to do to it. It's the easiest thing to do to it. If you wanted to pour 2 of them at a time, what you can do, the 5/0 hook usually stays in pretty easy. So you'll set the 5/0 hook in there, grab the 7/0 hook, pull this over, set the 7/0 hook up in here. Once you set the 7/0 hook in here, close it on both. Now you got the 1 ounce bucktail right there. Let it come up, let it puddle, come over, do the 7/0, let it come up, let it puddle. And that's as simple as. You can pour 2 bucktails at a time doing that. The one thing that you'll run into by doing that though is the mold will get really, really hot, really, really fast. And you can pour about 20 or 30 of these off of each individual mold. And then I'd say stop for just a little bit and let the mold cool down, because if you don't, what's going to happen is the mold is going to get so hot that it's going to take longer for that actual bucktail to set up inside of that actual mold. But once again, you can come right here and you can watch it. I'm just getting over the hole, let it puddle, get over the hole, open it up, let it puddle. The 2 ounce bucktails are big bucktails. I mean, it's just as simple as. But fellas, it is that simple. And one thing that you will notice is the longer that you pour it, the hotter the mold gets, the better the actual bucktails start coming out. They'll start coming out to where they look really, really good, and then all of a sudden you'll get to where, I mean, it's like nothing really looks like it's misformed at all, but what it is where that mold is just getting so hot. And once in a while you'll get it so hot that, I mean, you can't even hold on to it with your hand sitting back here at the back. And I mean, I can sit here and on an average I can pour between 100 and 200 in an hour. And I mean, I got a pack of hooks right here that are, I got 100 5/0 and 100 7/0, and I can probably pour all of these in about an hour, hour and a half. I mean, it don't take long to pour them. The main thing is just setting it up. Once you get it set up, start pouring. And that's all there is to it, fellas. So all you got to do is get out there and go have some fun. And I mean, when you start watching, the bucktails start forming better. They get a lot smoother, and they get a lot cleaner. The one thing that I will show you is that the lead that I'm using, you can use any type of lead. The one thing that a lot of people will say is that if you use wheel weights for the lead, you need a good pot that can get extremely hot, because if it gets the wheel weights, it's what they consider to be a dirty lead. So therefore it's actually made from a lot of other compounds besides just pure lead, and for that reason and that reason alone, you end up getting a lot more deformed bucktails with the wheel weights. The one way to eliminate that problem is to get a pot that is able to get extremely hot. And when I say extremely hot, I mean where your lead is absolutely just staying pure liquid. And you know, this type of pot can do it. Any of your heavy duty pots where you're actually got where you have the handle to where you can pour out of it, most of those pots can do that, and that's pretty much the simple thing to it. Let me grab a sander real quick and I'll be right back. Y'all can still sit out there and here's a big sandpaper. You really don't need a lot. All I got right here is just a simple piece of sandpaper. You can come in. Once this cools off a little bit, a file works best, but a piece of sandpaper, you can come in and do